What's up guys, this is Massey. Welcome to another video. In this video I want to show you some examples regarding chain rule differentiation. First example I want to show you is y equals to sine to the power of 3x. We know the derivative of sine x is cosine x. Derivative of sine u, when u is a function of x, will be u prime times cosine u, and derivative of sine to the power of n x is going to be n times sine to the power of n minus 1 x times cosine x. And finally, when we have sine to the power of n of u, when u is a function of x, is going to be n times u prime times sine to the power of n minus 1 u times cosine u. Now let's go to the question. Here we have y equals to sine to the power of 3x. So we can say dy over dx will be 3 times sine squared x times cosine x. Next one, we have y equals to 5 cosine to the power of negative 4 x. So we know the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. So here we have dy over dx will be 5 times, because that's the coefficient, 5 times negative 4 times cosine to the power of negative 5x times negative sine x, because as I said, the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. So when you simplify it, it's going to be 20, negative and negative cancels out, sine x times cosine to the power of negative 5x. So it's going to be 20 sine x over cosine to the power of 5x. Next example, p equals to square root of 3 minus t. So we can say that's equals to 3 minus t to the power of 1 over 2. So dp over dt will be 1 over 2 times 3 minus t to the power of 1 over 2 minus 1 times derivative of 3 minus t, which is going to be negative 1. So that's going to be negative 1 over 2 times 3 minus t to the power of negative 1 over 2, which will be negative 1 over 2 times 1 over square root of 3 minus t, or it's going to be negative 1 over 2 times root 3 minus t. Next example, q equals to square root of 2r minus r squared, which is going to be 2r minus r squared to the power of 1 over 2. So dq over dr will be 1 over 2 times 2 minus 2r times 2r minus r squared to the power of 1 over 2 minus 1. So that's going to be half times 2 minus 2r is going to be 1 minus r times 2r minus r squared to the power of negative 1 over 2. So that will be 1 minus r divided by square root of 2r minus r squared. Next one, s equals to 4 over 3 pi times sine 3t plus 4 over 5 pi cosine 5t. When you find out the derivative, it's going to be ds over dt will be 4 over 3 pi times 3 times cosine 3t plus 4 over 5 pi times 5 times minus sine 5t. So that's going to be 4 over pi times cosine 3t plus 4 over pi times negative sine 5t when you simplify it, because you can simplify 3 and 3 and 5 and 5. So when you simplify it, it's going to be 4 over pi cosine 3t minus 4 over pi sine 5t. Next example is s equals to sine 3 pi t over 2 plus cosine 3 pi t over 2. ds over dt will be 3 pi over 2 times cosine 3 pi t over 2 minus, because derivative of cosine is going to be negative sine, minus 3 pi over 2 times sine 3 pi t over 2. So when you factor it, it's going to be cosine 3 pi t over 2 minus sine 3 pi t over 2. Next example, we have r equals to cosecant theta plus cotan theta to the power of negative 1. So dr over d theta is going to be negative 1 times cosecant theta plus cotan theta to the power of negative 2 times derivative of cosecant theta is negative cosecant theta cotan theta, and derivative of cotan theta is going to be negative cosecant squared theta. Or this negative cancels out with this, all negatives here is going to be cosecant theta times cotan theta plus cosecant squared theta divided by cosecant theta plus cotan theta to the power of 2. Next example, we have y equals to x squared sine to the power of 4x plus x times cosine to the power of negative 2x. So dy over dx will be product rule. Derivative of x squared is going to be 2x times sine to the power of 4x plus x squared times derivative of sine to the power of 4x is going to be 4 times sine to the power of 3x times cosine x plus derivative of x times cosine to the power of negative 2x. That's going to be another product rule. Derivative of x is 1 times cosine to the power of negative 2x plus x times cosine to the power of negative 3x. So it's going to be 2x times sine to the power of 4x plus 4x squared sine to the power of 3x cosine x plus cosine to the power of negative 2x plus x times cosine to the power of negative 3x. That's the derivative of this expression. Next one is going to be y equals to 1 over x times sine to the power of negative 5x minus x over 3 times cosine to the power of 3x. So dy over dx will be, again we need to use the product rule here. Derivative of 1 over x is going to be negative 1 over x squared times sine to the power of negative 5x plus 1 over x times derivative of sine to the power of negative 5x, which is going to be negative 5 sine to the power of negative 6x times cosine x minus derivative of x over 3, which is 1 over 3 times cosine to the power of 3x plus x over 3 times cosine squared x times negative sine x. So that's going to be negative 1 over x squared sine to the power of negative 5x minus 5 over x sine to the power of negative 6x cosine x minus 1 over 3 cosine to the power of 3x plus 3 and 3 cancel out, and here we have negative instead, x times cosine squared x sine x. So that's the final answer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment if you have any question, and I get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching and have a great day.